Hey, what's going on? I'm Antonio McClain with McClain Media, and today I was inspired to create a video for future clients, even current clients, some people that are aspiring to get into video production. Just kind of give a few tips on what you should expect when you're dealing with someone that knows their stuff, and maybe to encourage you to get into some things and start educating yourself on some things that can help you get better at your craft. So this idea came to me because I'm really big on education and learning and becoming something better and getting more informed. I by no means think that I'm the best and that I run things, but I do have enough confidence in my work to believe that once the finished product is delivered, people are going to love it and they're going to respect it. And even if they do make a few tweaks to it, the finished product itself is still going to come out really well. So here's a few things to kind of help you understand the process and what you should be looking for when you're dealing with someone in the video production world. So the first thing I want to talk about is lighting. Now, lighting is king, okay? You gotta understand, we cannot see without light. That works for your camera as well. Your camera cannot see without light. When your camera can see and it's terrible and it doesn't look good, that's also lighting as well. You have to train yourself to be able to look for those things that you want, for that look that you want, and all that comes with lighting, okay? So the first thing I do when I go into a space, I don't care who I'm working for, what type of project it is, I go in with the mindset of, what does the lighting look like? Because I know I can't do my best without good lighting. Sufficient lighting is key. You can learn lighting through histograms. You can learn histograms through YouTube. Whatever you need to do, take the time to learn your histograms and understand the lighting. Also take the time to, just look up different lighting color tones and understanding what look you're going for. This will help you a lot in post-production. You don't have to go in post-production and have to make a whole bunch of changes. You really can make the changes in camera, and then after that you go into post-production. You should have what you want based off of the lighting, at least the color tones at least. Second thing I want to touch on is the audio. Audio to me is a big deal. One of the first things I learned was to edit to music. When you learn how to edit to music, you kind of keep people invested in the message. If I was to edit to music and I was to take the music away, this is one of the first things I learned from one of my mentors when I first got into this field. You take the sound away, let's just say you mute it, right? What does the picture say? Does the story still make sense? And so some of my work I started learning that, no, my story doesn't make sense. So how do I make my story make sense? And that goes into some other things. That's actually the next point. Let me pause right there. You have to get to a point to where your sound is just as important as the story, and they balance each other. Not that the story is bigger or that the sound is more important. Sometimes I mic up my bride or groom. Sometimes I always mic up my bride and groom. You might mic up someone that's important, that's saying something that's important, whatever it may be. You want to make sure you have the positioning of that right. If you have a lapel mic, your lapel should generally be here because the voice that shoots here. Just little things like that. You learn these little techniques, learn these little skills, and you keep building on top of it. Now, I spoke on the third point, the next point that I want to talk on just a little bit, and I didn't give a whole bunch of information on audio, but just know that when you're in post and you're in production, sound should be a very important thing. You should know what you want to do with your sound. You should know, for an example, if I'm doing B-roll shots and it's just like, say, a drone flying over the ocean, what sounds do you want to hear? I want to hear birds. I want to hear some birds flying. If I call a shot of some birds flying, I want to hear some birds flying. If I call, if I'm looking over the ocean, of course I want to hear the water splashing. So that's sound and sound design. That's a big deal. It tells the story just as much as the image that you see. So, just capitalizing on that, just take the time to really put some effort into the sound. Sound is important. But the next part, like I said, was storytelling. I had to learn this the hard way. Storytelling is one of the things that if you go into a project or whatever it may be, and you don't know what type of story you want to tell, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to convince the people of? Or, what's the message? You've already lost. So when you get in post-production, when you get all the film to the computer and you going through it and you're scanning through it and you're watching it over, you're like, man, what do I want to do with this? And you don't want to get to that point. You don't want to be in that situation where you don't know how to tell the story. So I'm not gonna talk too much on that. Just learn how to tell the story. Take the time to tell the story. Find out who your hero is. There's a whole bunch of different things you can do to tell the story. So learn that. The next thing I want to touch on, probably one of my favorite things that I learned early on, because the first thing I did was I started taking photos before I got into video production, is composition. How do you frame a person inside of the lens? Inside of that camera, how do you frame them? Like, what are you going for? I caught a clip of something that was so revolutionary to me. It kind of made it make sense. When you shoot someone down, right? When you shoot someone, like if you got the camera over them and you shoot them down, you got them looking up, that type of thing. You're creating an inferior look. You're creating a small. You're creating a, I'm curious what's next. You don't create a very confident look, and it's okay if that's what you're going for. But when you shoot someone, below, and you shoot up, you create an empowering look. You create someone that's in charge. So this is just something that's like super, super simple. And even when you're shooting a video production where you have a regular studio set up, you want your camera to be at eye level, when you're filming, because it creates a certain look. And there's so many other techniques, but composition is extremely important when you're dealing with the camera and the story that you're trying to tell. You want your composition to be as legit as possible. So, when you're coming into a project as a client and your goal is to just get a finished product, right? You want something that's beautiful and that tells your story and that looks good and that sounds good. You want all of that to make sense, right? But it's extremely important that you understand that the finished product is just a product of the process. The process is just as important as the finished product. And it's just as important to you as a client, because how they do anything is how they do everything. I'm a firm believer in excellence. So when I touch a product or a process, whatever it may be, I'm going into it with a mindset of excellence. I want to accomplish something that's beyond the norm or just to a certain tier. And so that's what I'm going into. And as an inspiring video production person that wants to see these type of things be done, you have to think about that. What level of work are you willing to bring? Because it is a will. You have to will. It just doesn't show up, right? Excellence just doesn't show up. You have to will it into existence. So when you're someone that's trying to create something for a client, you want it to be as good as possible, but at the same time, you want it to be your best. And so whatever your best is based off of the level of excellence and the level of processing, how your process is. Your process is the determinant for how excellent the product is going to be at the end. Going to the product, or the process, knowing what the story is and how you want it to end. Like, educate yourself on this. This is for me. This is me talking to my video production people. Educate yourself, educate yourself, educate yourself. There's so much that comes from it, man. And what you learn, practice it. Practice it. Practice it. Practice it. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope it was informative. I hope you learned something from this. If not, oh well. It's just something to put out there to encourage you guys to keep learning. Keep encouraging yourself. Hey, and if you need a videographer, McClain Media, and we do pretty good. Just saying.